and 6,000 years later, this forest is welcoming back bison. They were introduced by the Kent Wildlife Trust and the Wildwood Trust.
Walk into an English ancient woodland, and it'll fool you. Thick canopy, tall oaks, carpet of leaves beneath your feet. It looks alive. It looks healthy. But pull back that canopy with LiDAR imaging, and you'll see what's really underneath. A biological graveyard. No flowers, no shrubs, no insects. Just darkness and decay, sealed shut for decades. England didn't send in chainsaws. Didn't commission another management report. They released 4 bison into the dead zone, and within hours, those animals started tearing bark off living trees and driving their hooves through soil that hadn't seen sunlight since your grandparents were young. What they did to that forest wasn't conservation, it was a demolition. Here's what nobody tells you about Britain's ancient woodlands. The phrase sounds sacred, like something untouched, pristine, protected by centuries of careful stewardship. But it's a lie told by the treetops. Underneath those canopies, the trophic cascade has collapsed. Decades of commercial timber planting, non-native conifers jammed into soil that evolved for broadleaf species, followed by decades of outright neglect, sealed the deal. The canopy locked shut like a coffin lid. No sunlight penetrates. The flowering plants that once built a layered, breathing understory? Gone. The specialist insects that depended on those plants? Gone. The birds, the bats, the ground-nesting species that depended on those insects? You already know the answer. West Blean and Thorndon Woods sits near Canterbury in Kent, roughly 500 hectares, part of the largest continuous block of ancient woodland in southern England. Kent Wildlife Trust had been managing it for years, coppicing, cutting, clearing with heavy machinery, and every time they stopped, the canopy sealed right back over, like pouring water into a cracked bucket. The ecological architecture just couldn't hold. But here's the twist no one expected. Baseline ecological surveys before the intervention revealed something extraordinary buried under all that neglect. 178 species of spider, including one critically rare species not documented in Britain since 2004. A fungus beetle not recorded in the UK since 1988. Nightingales. Lesser spotted woodpeckers. The biodiversity was there, clinging on in fragments, gasping in the dark, waiting for something to crack the ceiling open. The conventional tools couldn't do it. Not permanently. Not across hundreds of hectares. Not without a budget that doesn't exist. The woodland didn't need another management review. It needed a demolition crew. The European bison is the largest land animal native to Europe. Adult males hit close to 900 kilograms, built for forest environments, not the open grasslands of their American cousins. These animals shaped the ecological architecture of European woodlands for hundreds of thousands of years. Their ancestors maintained forest ecosystems through a suite of behaviors so precise, so integrated, that nothing else on the continent could replicate it. And then, humans erased them. Hunting pressure and habitat destruction ground the population down century after century. During World War I, occupying German soldiers slaughtered 600 bison in Poland's Białowieża forest for sport and meat. By 1919, the last wild bison in Poland was dead. And in 1927, a single poacher in the Western Caucasus pulled a trigger and killed the last wild European bison on Earth. Gone. Every forest on the continent that had evolved alongside these animals, suddenly, permanently, without them. But not entirely. 54 individuals survived in zoos across Europe, and every single one traced back to just 12 founding animals. 12. That's the genetic bottleneck through which an entire species had to squeeze. From those 12, conservationists built the most meticulous captive breeding program in wildlife history. Every individual documented, every bloodline tracked. The European Bison Pedigree Book, first published in 1932, has recorded every living bison every year since. By the 1950s, the first captive bred bison were released back into the wild in Poland's Białowieża forest. reintroduction programs spread. Romania, Germany, the Netherlands. From 12 zoo animals in 1927 to approximately 7,000 free-roaming bison across Europe today. A recovery from the edge of oblivion that took nearly a century of painstaking genetic management. But in Britain, they'd been absent for 6,000 years. No living ecosystem in England carried any memory of them. No soil chemistry, no mycorrhizal network, no insect population had interacted with a bison since the Stone Age, until July 2022.
The Wilder-Blean Project, a partnership between Kent Wildlife Trust and Wildwood Trust, didn't frame this as a feel-good conservation story. This was tactical. The bison weren't brought to Kent because bison needed saving in England. They were brought because the woodland needed saving, and bison were identified as the most effective biological mechanism available for the specific ecological repair required. 3 females arrived first on July 18th. The matriarch, an older female from Scotland's Highland Wildlife Park, battle-tested, dominant. 2 younger females from Ireland's Fota Wildlife Park. The bull followed from Germany in December, delayed by months of post-Brexit animal import bureaucracy. His bloodline traces directly back to those 12 founding animals. No one told them what to do. No supplementary feeding, no directed management beyond basic veterinary care. They were released into a fenced section of the woodland, and the matriarch went to work within hours. She charged straight into a thicket of rhododendron, an invasive species choking out native ground flora, and ripped it out with her head. Not nibbled, not grazed, ripped. Then she turned to the nearest willow and tore long vertical strips of bark away in deep, deliberate gouges, exposing pale wood underneath like a surgical incision. Beside her, the younger females dropped to the ground and began rolling violently, churning the soil into shallow wallows, cracking open bare earth that hadn't seen daylight in decades. And then the ecosystem responded, as if it had been waiting. Dung beetle larvae appeared in their droppings within weeks. One ranger asked, not as a joke, how the beetles got the memo. Mycorrhizal fungi began colonizing the dung within days. Soil disturbance patterns around the wallow sites hadn't been recorded at this location in modern history. The forest wasn't just tolerating the bison, it was activating around them. What makes European bison irreplaceable isn't their size. It's 4 specific behaviors operating simultaneously, each one producing a different ecological outcome, and together generating a trophic cascade that no human management program has ever replicated. The first, bark stripping. Bison gouge long vertical wounds into living trees, eventually ring barking them. The tree dies standing, becoming what ecologists call a snag. And a snag is one of the most ecologically valuable structures a woodland can contain. Over 2,000 species of beetle, bird, bat, and fungus depend on dead wood habitat at various stages of decay. A snag takes decades to develop naturally. A bison produces one in a single season. Think about that. Decades of expensive management, or one animal, one season. The second, tree knockdown. Close to a ton of body weight, driven forward with intent, bison push over trees, creating fallen deadwood on the forest floor and ripping open gaps in the canopy above. Cross-sectional analysis of the fallen timber showed these weren't diseased trees toppling on their own. They were healthy, mature specimens that a bison simply decided needed to come down. Light hits the ground. Ground flora establishes in that gap within one growing season. The third, wallowing. Those shallow depressions the females churned on day 1, critical habitat. Bare earth in a vegetation-sealed woodland is the only foothold for specialist insects and pioneer plant species that can't establish through closed ground cover. Each wallow is a small ecological hotspot, a reset button pressed into the soil. The fourth, selective grazing. Bison favor certain plant species over others, creating a mosaic of different vegetation types across the woodland floor. Not the uniform carpet of leaf litter that develops under a closed canopy,
but a patchwork of microhabitats. And diversity at ground level drives diversity across every trophic layer above it. 4 behaviors, running continuously, across hundreds of hectares, around the clock, year after year, without a salary, a management plan, or a budget review. You can't purchase that. You can't schedule it. It has to be lived into existence by an animal that evolved to produce it. The monitoring data came back fast. Slow worm counts, a key indicator species, jumped from 36 in 2021 to 58 by 2023. Grass snake sightings quadrupled. Plant species never previously recorded in those sections of the woodland began appearing in grazed and disturbed areas. Species that required direct light or open soil and had found no pathway to establish under that sealed canopy. The geomorphological profile of the forest floor was shifting in real time, and then the herd started growing. September 2022, just 2 months after the females arrived, a calf was born. The first bison in a British woodland in thousands of years. One of the females had been pregnant on arrival, and nobody knew. By late 2023, a second calf, the first to be conceived and born entirely in the woodland. A third followed in the summer of 2024. The system wasn't just functioning, it was reproducing. But here's where the friction starts. Britain isn't the Białowieża. There's no wilderness left. Every acre is owned, managed, fenced, adjacent to footpaths and farmland. The bison don't produce a tidy woodland. They produce a messy, broken-looking landscape. Fallen trees, stripped bark, churned soil, open gaps where there used to be continuous canopy. And that directly collides with a deeply rooted British cultural assumption that managed land should look managed, that nature, properly handled, should be visually orderly. And then there's the paradox you couldn't write in fiction. Dangerous wild animal legislation means bison can't share the same space as the public. Footpaths crisscross the woodland, so Kent Wildlife Trust built bison bridges, elevated walkways where humans pass overhead while 900-kilogram ancient engineers lumber through tunnels underneath. Think about that for a second. We built bridges so we wouldn't collide with the animal we invited back to fix the mess we made. The ecological argument cuts clean. Phytosociological survey data confirms that the bison-modified sections are outperforming human-managed sections on every biodiversity metric tracked. The cost of chainsaw and machinery management is rising. The results aren't keeping pace. The bison deliver outcomes at a speed and scale that human intervention simply cannot replicate. Neither side wins cleanly. The project continues. The debate continues around it. And the woodland quietly continues to change.
The monitoring program runs until 2050. By then, the oldest bison born at West Blean will be approaching 30. The woodland around them won't look anything like it does today. It'll look messier, more broken, more alive. The calves being born right now will grow up knowing no other landscape. They'll learn where the best bark is, where the best wallowing ground sits, where the water pools after rain. They'll shape the woodland the way their ancestors shaped forests across this continent for hundreds of thousands of years before humans removed them. What's happening in that Kent woodland isn't a return to the past. It's an experiment in letting an animal do the work that humans cannot afford, cannot sustain, and cannot replicate. And discovering, through radiometric calibration of soil samples, through species counts, through spectral imaging of canopy change, that the forest already knew what to do with it. The bison stripped the bark. The beetles moved into the dead wood. The light hit the ground. The seeds germinated. And an ancient woodland that had been slowly suffocating under its own canopy started, for the first time in centuries, to breathe. Subscribe to Hidden Latitude if you want to be here when we crack the next case. We're just getting started. Now here's your question. Is a messy wild forest a failure of management or a triumph of nature? Type order if you think forests need human control. Type wild if you think the bison got it right. I'll be reading every single one.